welcome everybody to our first episode of NFT Gaming Bites, the podcast where we're bringing on different projects from around the metaverse, from whatever they have to offer as an NFT game, play-to-earn game, GameFi game, whatever you want to call it, to have a seat at the table. Everyone hopefully gets a bite. You guys can ask your questions in, submit whatever you want, and there's a couple questions I'll be asking here with our guests, but chat, please feel free to chat in some questions if you are here live. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anything else, feel free to show up on YouTube when we do these on Tuesdays. But today we have an excellent guest that I'm excited about. You guys may have seen a video that came out a couple weeks ago where we did a little short interview, but today I'm hoping that we can get a pretty long discussion going, some excellent chat questions. So Simon is here from ZiberBugs. Simon, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Excited to be on this podcast. And my name is Simon. I'm the founder and CTO and game designer of ZiberBugs. Our ZiberBugs, the play-to-earn auto battler on Cardano. Super excited to sort of learn what this podcast is all about and meet your viewers a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to learn what this podcast is about too, because again, this is first time we're trying this, but really the whole picture for it is that hopefully we can get a space where we can bring on different projects. You know, I know a lot of projects are doing AMAs now, and you guys are as well, but I think it'd be fun to just have a simple space that, you know, it's pretty hard to find an AMA unless you're really digging deep into every single project that you're going into, finding out when it's scheduled. And it'd be nice to just have a single spot where people can come in, ask questions. So Simon, thank you for essentially being the guinea pig of this whole podcast.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and, I love the business idea too. Like it makes a lot of sense for like AMAs to reside with you content creators rather than the projects, I think, because that gives an opportunity for everybody to see it to a much bigger extent.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, right? Is that we can all have conversations and figure out, you know, do people want to be part of these projects? Do they not? You know, especially when in the play-to-earn space, I mean, ZiberBugs is a little bit different, but some games, you know, to really sink your teeth into, you're talking about $1,000 or even more sometimes. And so it can be pretty intimidating, pretty scary space if you don't know what you're doing in this
absolutely
space of play-to-earn. But before we jump into the ZiberBugs and the project itself, this is called NFT Gaming Bites, right? And if you're not from America, I don't know if other people say this in other parts of the world, but here, if you're grabbing a bite, that means you're going out for a meal, right? Or you're grabbing some food. So just a fun question. I didn't prep you for this, just to throw you off your game a little bit.
Sure.
Give me your favorite bite, like favorite food to eat. It could be from a restaurant, meal, whatever it is. Give us something.
I may shock you now, but one thing I keep coming back to that I just love, ridiculous, like way more than I should, is a Big Mac.
What? Okay, that was when you said shocking. I thought, you know, maybe like escargot, like maybe you're eating some bugs, and that's why you came up with ZiberBugs. But Big Mac.
No, I love that burger. I'm here to admit it. Every time we are like with friends trying to grab a bite on the road or whatnot, I'm the only one that ever wants to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And, I just love that burger.
I don't know if I can agree, but there's some people in the chat saying yes and saying the sauce though. So you got a couple of people loving it already.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, I don't eat bugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
You make games about bugs, but you don't eat them.
Exactly. Yeah, okay, I like to play with them, but I don't eat them.
Never
play with your food, right?
Yes. I mean, I think I've had escargot. I've tried it, but that's probably about it as far as if you count that as a bug, I guess. But
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining me. I just want to start. Maybe some people have introduced themselves to this project already through my video, or maybe they've gotten to the Discord, but I'm assuming that you guys are still fairly new. So I just want to start out. Give me the present snapshot. Like, how would you describe this game for people who are in the play-to-earn space? But I'd also want to give you the challenge, because I want to see how many projects can describe their game to a person that maybe knows nothing about cryptos or NFTs, maybe just completely outside of this space, and they see ZiberBugs. How would you explain this project to them as well?
Okay, sure. So as describing the game as a general description, sort of, that would be, I'd say, like fun and an exciting new visual concept never seen before, right? And also financially sustainable. Those are sort of the three core appeals that we have, I'd say. In as sort of from a current perspective, what it is currently, I'd say like we're very early stages still. Of course, we're still working hard towards building our community and finalizing our investments. So, but we see that as an opportunity. This is your chance. If you feel like you missed the Illuvium train, this is your chance. You can get on board and get it all from the start.
Yeah, I mean, that's, essentially somewhat of a same concept, right? You have an auto battler, but as well, what do you think is some of those distinctives, those differences from something like, okay, everyone, at least in the play to earn space, maybe knows about Illuvium being an auto battler. How would you say ZiberBugs, as far as gameplay, is a little bit different?
Yeah, so Illuvium is definitely like a larger project, right? They are like a AAA studio doing all this, not only the PvP focus with the battle arenas and that stuff, but also like this open world where you go out and collect the Illuvitars, I believe they're called.
I don't know. Yeah. I would assume you're right.
Yeah, that looks absolutely awesome. And so our project scope is we are going to start with the PvP game and sort of focus on that. That's a strategy that we've picked up from many traditional game titles. Most of the competitive games you see out there, they focus mainly on the competitive game mode and to make that very good. And that's what we have been inspired by to do. And then we have grand plans in the future. If the game is successful and we start getting income and such, to expand into making land sales and adventure mode and like a 3D upgrade and all those kinds of stuff, and then tie it together with additional games in the future, and then just make it a giant Cyberverse.
Yeah, which is cool because I think sometimes, it's easier to start with a simple concept, right, and expand out from there versus what you're saying, like, Illuvium, yeah, they're tackling a huge project, and maybe they can pull it off. I mean, who really knows? I mean, they do have a big team, but right, it's not really a project that most people are going to be able to tackle because of just the huge scope. Whereas I think your approach, you're making a lot of sense. They're like, hey, start with simple, then we're going to add on to it, expand on it, and grow from there. So I like that. That's pretty cool. I do want to hear more for you, though. Like, how would you explain this game? How would you explain this concept for someone that doesn't know about crypto and NFTs? Because I think it's going to be important, right? Like a lot of the play to earn games right now, I think we're seeing it's just a player that bounces from one game to another based on, whose token is the most expensive, what's the most I can be earning right now. So I want to see like games that can actually bridge the gap and bring in some people that don't know about crypto, don't know about NFTs. So when you talk to your friends or maybe people online that you've met that don't know about this space, how would you explain your game and how it's different from just the normal games they're playing?
Yeah, okay. If I were to talk to people that are not in the NFT gaming space, I would probably focus on the play to earn side and sort of talk a little bit about that, how this is a brand new concept that's evolving in light speed right now. And so many different titles are trying so many different strategies here. We've gone with the sort of a close version of the strategy that Axie Infinity has incorporated, which is proven to work at least for the years that it's been online now, right?
Yeah.
So that's been our approach. So our approach is essentially about earning when you win. So you play the game, and you should play the game because the game is fun, not because you want to earn. If you only get players that play because they want to earn, then you've failed, in my opinion, as a game designer. So we are focusing on making a regular game meant to be as fun as a regular game, and then incorporating play to earn concepts in that, essentially. So our game is going to be similar, but not the same thing as Teamfight Tactics, the auto battler made by Riot Games. And there are a few key differences, I would say. So first of all, ours is theirs is sort of turn-based, but they have this base game which revolves around flipping cards and buying them with gold that you earn. And at high levels, the gameplay becomes about flipping those cards fast enough, right? Like if you want to be good at that game, you need to flip cards fast enough. And we've moved away from that concept, and instead we've made like a truly turn-based game where you take turns in placing your bugs, and you do everything in turns. And then when the battle launches, you are only the spectator, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an approach that I particularly like, because when I myself played Teamfight Tactics, I found myself only sitting and watching the battles whenever they took place,
right,
while the pros would focus on like doing other things like spectating opponents and flipping cards and whatnot. And that felt like something that I wouldn't want in my game. I would want people to be able to relax between the gameplay and enjoy the game, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Everyone that's into auto battles, it seems like it's a huge genre right now that's really exploded the last couple of years. And you're right. It's pretty lame if you're like, I'm setting up, I'm spending all this time to set up this next battle, and I'm not even watching it because then I have to rush over. I have to think about the next thing and the next thing, and I'm trying to calculate out my strategy. I don't even watch what's going on, right, between the battles. And I think that's probably, as you said, it's not the way to go about it, because really the entertainment factor in an auto battler is having your strategy set up, watching it play out to see if it wins, being able to learn, okay, hey, this card that I played or this bug that I played, it went well here, but then this person countered it here. So how do I counter their counter? And you start like layering the strategy in there. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I want to be able to see the battle and not feel like I have to panic about the next thing.
Exactly. And I think it's sort of so the auto battler space is very unevolved still. It wasn't many years ago that this Dota auto chess came out that sort of made sort of inspired Teamfight Tactics, and also inspired a whole lot of other games that didn't make it quite as well. And I feel that the evolution has sort of stopped in a sense. I haven't seen any new and exciting auto battlers for a while. And so when we launched this initiative, which by the way was before we heard of Illuvium, we were excited to sort of contribute to that. And when we heard about Illuvium at a later stage, we became thrilled that other players are thinking the same thing as us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I'm very excited to sort of try to contribute to the auto battler space and make it more exciting and more streamlined, so to speak.
Yeah, and I would love to hear a little bit more about the past. We talked about this present snapshot, and now you're saying like, okay, we were wanting to really add to this gaming space another auto battler that can be exciting and fun, even before you heard about Illuvium. So I'm curious from you, is that like the main driving factor? You're like, I'm just really passionate about gaming, and I want to create an auto battler. I think there needs to be a new game out there. What led to this inspiration of the auto battler, and then what led to the inspiration of it being specifically an NFT gaming project? Because that part of it you didn't have to add on, right? If it's just about the auto battler. So what's some of the motivation and story behind how you got here?
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a gamer at heart. I played video games for all my life, and I'm actually a little bit old. I'm very convinced that if I was born like 10 years, 15 years later, and still being the same person, then I'd be enabled to all these like pro scenes and streaming things that exist now. Back when I was 20, there was no such things. You could be pro, but you couldn't. There wasn't like contracts or anything, and they had some limited tournaments in the games that I was active in, but no prize money as we see today, right?
Yeah.
But so anyway, regardless, I've spent most of my adult life playing competitive games online, being top tier in a few titles, especially the Battlefield series, the first couple of games. And my mind has always been like, the way it's worked is that I'm bothered by some design flaws or some flaws in general that games may have, and then I always try to invent better versions of them, right? And if you ask my best friend, my childhood friends, they will testify that I've been like on them about like, here are the different games that need to be made instead, and here's how they should work, right? And so when the whole play to earn space came out, I sort of saw an opportunity, because I was at a point in my life where I was ready to explore starting my own business, and that essentially enabled this initiative for us to be able to do that. And having played a lot of auto battlers and having that exact mindset, like being bothered by some of the design things and wanting to try to make it better, that made us choose to do an auto battler. And then there were also these random facts that turned out to be to our benefit, such as like the turn-basedness, if you will, that because we don't think it's healthy to make like a play to earn game where you earn by winning and the game revolves around being like mechanically skilled, like being fast with the mouse and stuff like that. We don't think that's healthy, because we just don't think it will be appealing to enough people if that was the...
if that's the case, I'm probably going to be losing more money in all these shooter play to earn games coming out, because my... let's just say my Fortnite skills are very subpar.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, half of all the people in the world are subpar, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so you want that half playing your game too. So this really enables, you don't have to have played computer games for 10,000 hours to evolve at ZiberBugs. You can get good at the game by just analyzing and being smart about it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious too, as an NFT project, is part of the appeal why we're seeing so many of these projects coming out as you guys have described, you're more of an indie developer team, right? You know, you're a few people. It's not like you're hundreds of a AAA studio. Is part of the play to earn NFT space, is that appealing to these more indie game developers because you can raise some funds up front with NFT sales and token sales? Is that part of it versus like, hey, I'm going to do this indie thing, slap it up on Steam, hope for the best, or, you know, try to get some VCs, venture capitalists to invest into our games to give us enough resources? Is that part of it? Or is it mostly just like, hey, we really believe in the asset ownership and the play to earn economy, essentially? What's the balance for you there?
Yeah, so to do like a little bit of a sub story here, I think that I once came across some statistics on, like, if you take like the best game designer in the world to make a brand new game, the odds of that, like if you sort of exclude his fame and glory, let's pretend for a second that he's anonymous, right? Mm-hmm. And then he makes a game, and the odds of that game succeeding and becoming like a big game is still very slim. I think it's like something like 2% or something like that, you know? And so that being said, being an indie game developer, if we were to make a game in the traditional gaming space, there would be so much competition, so much, the market is so bloated with ads and stuff. Like if you go on Facebook now and you're a little bit of a gamer, you see these gaming ads all over the place, and they're not even true to the game anymore. There's so many things going on, making it hard for indie developers to make it in the traditional gaming space. And so there was a coincidence that I was also a crypto fan and just loved that space too, and learned a lot about it during the last year or so, year and a half. And so when the NFT space emerged, I just saw an opportunity that would not only increase our odds drastically of succeeding, but also increase our chances of doing all the things around it, like finding investments, because the crypto space is so hot right now. So finding people eager to invest is comparatively easy compared to the traditional gaming space.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the cool thing about gaming projects in this NFT space. I mean, we've obviously seen the negative side with the scams and people not really understanding what they're doing in here. But at the same time, everyone that's in this space, essentially you're voting for what games you want to be made or invest in yourself, because it's open to anyone to go buy an NFT, buy into these tokens, help these games raise funds, which again can be scary and have some negative impacts, but it's also cool that, you know, more of these indie games like ZiberBugs can really have an opportunity to get the funds they need for a game they're really passionate and excited about. So that's really cool. There are some chat questions coming in from Keith. So if anyone else also wants to throw in a chat question, please let us know. I'll have some other questions as well. But let's jump to Keith's question. He just wants to know, first of all, what is an auto battler? So for someone that doesn't know what an auto battler is, how would you describe that, John?
Okay, good point. So an auto battler is essentially a battle game where you don't control your units. So you essentially just deploy units. Imagine StarCraft, if that's familiar to you, where you sort of deploy your units, but instead of telling them what to do, they just follow a predetermined set of commands. And then you sort of have to do the gameplay between the rounds and make sure that you deploy them correctly so that they win their battles based on that. So it has sort of a puzzle game feel to it sometimes, where you have to like pre-calculate and or like a board game feeling to it, and yeah. So there are also a couple of different types of auto battlers. There are more like real-time auto battlers, such as Clash Royale, for instance, to mobile, where you deploy your units on your side of the map and then they walk towards the opponent's side, and then they attack anything that they come across, right? But so you have to like counter that by deploying troops in front of them, and that will be classified as a real-time game because it's all happening in real time. Whereas ours is you do a set of things when it's your turn, and then the turn goes over to the opponent, and then they do a set of things. So that's like truly turn-based.
Yeah. And I think for my audience too, you know, specifically a lot of us play Splinterlands, which is really a card game that is an auto battler. You set up your team beforehand. Once you hit submit, all you're doing is you're watching the replay of what went on. So that's probably the best way, as you're saying, the auto battlers is all the strategies up front, set up your team. It sounds like for ZiberBugs, there's going to be different points of strategy with each turn. But as far as the action, as far as the gameplay, you're not like controlling a bug flying around, you know, shooting people up or trying to sting the other bugs. It's you set it up, you watch all the action play out, and then, you know, try to adjust your strategy from there, right?
Exactly, correct. And we also have we have distant plans, I should mention, to sort of incorporate game modes where you can control your units, such as like a future adventure mode and such. That would be drastically different from the game that we're developing now, though. But if the space becomes popular and the Cyberverse gets loved, then these are the paths that we'll take.
Yeah, and speaking of other game modes, Keith also asked, could you combine this with procedural land and passive tower defense? People can unlock boosts by conquering regions, protected towers, etc., etc. So that question, but also kind of expanded out, like what are some of those, if in your dream mind, some other gameplay or types of games that you would put in the Cyberverse, as you said?
Yeah. Tower defense is an interesting idea. That could be technically doable. We would have I should start by talking a little bit about a vision that I have. So I want to, if the game becomes successful and we decide to do further development, one thing that will come close to heart is to do the land development and develop land sales where you can have your bases or your nests and hives. And at that point, we will explore building buildings that give you different types of benefits, and we will also explore making an adventure mode and being able to run to other nests and hives. And at that point, there will probably be defensive buildings of some kind. So when I'm like, now that you mentioned tower defense, the idea that comes to mind for me here is that could work with this idea that we have right here, if we want to build it out that way. And I actually love tower defenses too, so that's something that could be highly possible for us to do in the future.
Well, there you go, guys. Just submit your ideas in, and Simon will make them come to life.
Right. As far as talking more about some other games, so another game mode that's very hot right now is Battle Royale, right?
Yep. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and so it'd be exciting to do a Battle Royale that is like a real-time strategy game. Because we want to make the game revolve around having these NFTs, right? And I think we want to prioritize making games that require you to hold like an equal amount of NFTs, so that it's not necessarily just one bug, because we want players of our existing games to easily be transitioned to the new games, and vice versa, right? So if you play this one game and you only require one bug, and then you can't play the other game because you don't have enough bugs. So one idea that I have is to imagine like a real-time strategy game that you see from above, and you control your units the same way, but you have 6 units, and it's like 6 bugs from the ZiberVerse, and then you play against a bunch of other people on this huge map you see from above, and then you sort of meet them, and you play against them and try to kill their bugs essentially, and be the last man standing. That's one exciting idea that I'm toying with, I should mention, because this is nothing we've discussed in the team yet.
Yeah, nothing on the white paper, no roadmap, but I love how you are just so ready to be like, hey, we're sticking with what we got for now, but I have idea after idea. I can just see you light up with different things coming to mind.
Oh, definitely.
Even as we talk. And I think that's really cool too, your idea of, being able to take your NFTs from one game to another. And I've seen different projects handle that in different ways, and I'm curious to see how those things will develop as time goes on, because I think some projects look at it as like, okay, we're going to build out one game with these NFTs, and that's going to lead to a second game, but it's also going to give us another opportunity to just sell other NFTs and more NFTs, and you can't use your original NFTs, versus taking your NFT, your investment, and you're like, hey, take this into all these different games, this metaverse or Cyberverse for you guys. And I think that's what I'm more hearing from you. Is that correct? Or do you think about it in a different way?
Yeah. So one core value that we have as a company is that there are so many gaming companies that express greed in different ways, especially like in the mobile game industry right now. There are so many like pay to win features, and just pay money and you'll be better than your opponents, and like, hey, we've invented this new game mode that you somehow have to pay more to enter, and all these kinds of stuff. And I as a gamer, I hate that from the bottom of my heart. And we will not incorporate such strategies at all. We are proud to say that we will follow a pattern where the future development that we do will never have the feeling that we want you to pay more for it.
So sign me up. I like the sound of that. I mean, especially for my community, right? Is the krills of the metaverse. Those people that are like, maybe I can put in $50, maybe I can put $100 into a project, but I'm not going to be able to continually, drop that. Oh, here's another $500 NFT. Here's another $500 NFT.
And like, if you are that kind of person, I mean, back when I played video games, I think I paid at some point $100 a month just for cosmetics, And some people do that, and some people love that. But if you are that kind of person that loves to spend that money, if you move into the NFT gaming space, what that will mean is that you can spend them on like buying bugs, buying new bugs, buying better bugs and such, but you'll buy them from other players. So first of all, it's not a purchase, it's an investment. And secondly, we are not the ones that take the bulk of the money for it. You'll pay the seller, and the fee that goes to us, technically, that fee will go straight back into the ecosystem. And I'd be happy to talk about that in detail if
yeah, well, we'll get to that in a second, because I have a question first from Tilly Tots here. Have they got good burn mechanics in mind, upgrades, combinations, that sort of thing? So the token just flooding the market, or stopping that flooding the market. I mean, that's what we've seen in a lot of games, right? Just constant inflation. A game pumps up, and then once people have enough of the token or enough of the breed of whatever NFT has come out, eventually there's a point, right, where there's a lot more supply on the market than the demand that is coming in. So how do you think about that in Tilly's question?
Thank you for asking that question. I'd love to give our in-depth answer of that. So we've sort of invented, should I say, 6 sustainability solutions to ZiberBugs, compared to a lot of other NFT games that may not have as healthy financial ecosystems. And to mention a few, so the most important one is that out of all the fees that you pay into the game to the company, we take 80% of that and insert it back into the ecosystem one way or another. Either we use it to buy back our earning currency and burning it, or we use it to insert it into the PvP rewards fund so that players can win the money later, or we simply burn it on the spot, some of it. And so there are a bunch of different ways that we take that money and put it back into the ecosystem, which will increase the sustainability drastically, we believe. And then there are some other games suffer from phenomena such as NFT inflation, where the number of NFTs just grows exponentially, right? We have a mechanic that we've invented in the game that allows that not to happen. So to breed a bug in ZiberBugs, you need to have you need to lay an egg. And to lay an egg, you need a queen, and every account has one queen. But the queen won't lay eggs unless the account is active. Unless you spend all your daily energy, the queen won't lay eggs as fast as she can. So that means the growth of the NFTs can never be bigger than the active player base. So that means that we can't have a bunch of like breeders coming in, just purchasing a bunch of NFTs, breeding them and selling them for profit. You have to participate in the game if you want to participate in the breeding. And that, we believe, will give a very healthy growth of NFTs. But then there will come to a point where the player growth will decline, but there will still be a lot of NFTs, right? For this stage of the game, we have many exciting features, and I'd like to tell you about the most exciting one, that being the death tournaments that we plan to involve. So what a death tournament is that you enter the bugs that you have to potentially die. Actually, if you don't win the entire tournament, your bugs will die. And the prizes of these tournaments are massive, right? You can get 10th and still win like thousands of dollars potentially, but your bugs will die. So what that means is that NFTs will be burned too, as part of the whole ecosystem, essentially. And this is just one of the many exploration mechanics that we have inside the game.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there to unpack for sure. I mean, different thoughts coming to my mind, the death tournament and how intense that's going to feel, because, the prizes must be really big if you're willing to put all your bugs on, or at least some of the bugs, at least in the tournament, right, on the line,
And we have so many thoughts around that are so exciting. Like, for instance, So we're going to have, much like Axie Infinity has their origin axes and the mystic axes, we are going to have a similar type of bug that's called an ancestor bug. Those are the first generation bugs that we sort of pre-mint that don't have a father. All other bugs that will ever exist will have a father, except these. That's why we call them the ancestors. There'll only ever be 1,000 of these. And so these will be super valuable, hopefully, if we make it and become popular. And so just imagine what will happen when this big streamer or big rich guy decides to gamble an ancestor in the death tournament.
Oh no.
It'll be like, whoa, what just happened? And like how much money that will potentially burn, and like that NFT will never come back again,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's some definitely things that would be interesting, even if maybe like I'm a person, I'm like, oh, I don't want to enter a death tournament. That sounds way too scary or risky. I like your idea of like, hey, if you could stream the events and see the real life pressure of some of these people playing in these tournaments, that would be pretty awesome to see that intensity come to life. I want to back up though and ask a question about, I like that mechanic of saying, hey, if you want to start breeding, you have to be an active player in this game, right? You can't just be an investor who comes in, watches from the sideline, clicks breed over and over again. Do you guys have a way to also help combat that against bots that might potentially come in, look to breed, and just say, hey, bot, spam these games over and over again, so it looks like we're actually playing and using these energies, but then that really unlocks us to not play, let our bot play, and then keep breeding over and over again? Do you have a thought or a way that you might prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so that's like a big problem with play-to-earn games, right? That there are bots that play it. And so the way I see it is there are two strategies to deploy here, at least that I've thought of. One being make the game hard enough that bots can't play it and earn from it. That would probably mean that we have to limit earning to the top X% of people that play the game, which we don't want to do. The second thing would be to introduce some kind of bot fighting mechanics like a CAPTCHA. And so that's what we're leaning towards right now, to have like, after finishing each game, you have to also finish a CAPTCHA. As simple as that.
Yeah. Which can be frustrating, but like, as you said, what's the alternative? Would you rather have to click through this CAPTCHA, or would you rather have bots flooding the game and stealing up some of the resources? So yeah, I'm interested to see how that works for you, because I've heard from other games too. They're like, yeah, we don't really believe in the CAPTCHA thing. It doesn't really work anyways, so we're just going to let bots play. That's kind of the main game Splinterlands concept, is like, yeah, we're kind of bot neutral. We don't want to add the CAPTCHA. So I hope that works. I hope that, some of these games can really figure out how to prevent bots, because it definitely is a problem.
Yeah, our standpoint is that we want to prevent bots because we believe that allowing bots will make an inflated inflated financial ecosystem. So essentially, if there are going to be bots grinding, it's going to be hard to avoid having a constantly declining earning currency, for instance.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll take measures to combat that.
Awesome. Well, we got about 10 to 15 more minutes if people want to keep submitting questions. I see Keith with another. Keep them coming, Keith. He's talking about comparing to Splinterlands. I don't know if have you played Splinterlands before?
I'm sorry, I have not.
Okay, that's totally fine. That's most of my community, so that's why they're comparing it in their minds.
Is it similar to like Hearthstone?
In a sense, it's a card game like that, but instead it's an auto battler. So you actually just pick your team up to 6 different cards based on the mana cap. They have different rule sets, and then you click battle and you watch the cards battle each other from there. But one mechanic that they have is to level up your cards, you actually have to combine your NFTs. So if you have a level 1, you can just have one NFT. But if you want to max 10 level common, you have to actually get 400 of those cards and combine them together. So that's their way to kind of combat the inflation and to essentially make their assets deflationary. So Keith is asking, do you have something like that to combine bugs maybe in a way to burn some or deflate the amount of bugs that are out there in the Cyberverse?
Yeah, bugs are not going to be combinable. We have similar features. If that is an appealing feature to you, we have something called symbiosis cores in our game, which are combinable and which are collectible. and they will come in different rarities. So, and these will be similar to the synergies that we see in other auto battlers. Like for instance, put 6 assassins on the field, and you will critical strike this and that much damage, right? Similar to that, but so because the lineup of bugs is predetermined in ZiberBugs, you also have a predetermined synergy, right? So you bring your symbiosis cores that you collect to battle, and they grant you synergy bonuses. So that's a little bit of a thing that you can collect and combine for, and we recognize very much that this is appealing to a lot of gamers, and that's why we sort of wanted to introduce a small element of that. But the bugs will unfortunately never be combinable.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I want to give you a chance here to just talk about the future. So ZiberBugs, what's your thoughts on things that are upcoming? Like, when do you guys think that this game might actually be playable, or people can start buying up some bugs or buying in tokens? Like, what are some of the roadmap that you'd want these viewers to listen or know and follow along with ZiberBugs?
Yeah. So the current stage of the project is that we're still in the early investment stage and trying to build an initial community. And we have still a very limited impression of how fast that will go. But once we have collected all the investments that we need to complete the project and complete the game development, we will launch the development phase. And at that point, we're looking at 9 months until the open beta. And so we will likely launch a closed alpha test prior to that, a couple of months before that, where you have to apply to get in, and we will value things like your past gaming experience, whether you're a competitive gamer, and whether you have like a stream or a follower base that can broadcast the game and show viewers about it. And yeah, that will be 6 months from the start of the development phase. But up until then, we have a lot of exciting things going on. As part of the early stage investment phase, there are a lot of investment opportunities and a lot of opportunities to gain our token in various ways. So I would encourage everybody to get involved with us and join our Discord and check out all the fun things that we're doing right now. Take it from there and then follow the news, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you already answered it. Tilly was saying, do you have a Discord set up yet? Of course, yes, they do. Telegram as well. And I see you guys, I'm not there every single day because I have so much to try to cover, but I see you guys running some cool things like, hey, tell us about, watch this little video and all the bugs we have coming out. Tell us your favorite one and give us a good reason, and we'll give some tokens to you. So it sounds like you guys are going to continue to do some of those like little games and contests in the Discord as you build up the community. Am I right?
Yes, very much. And one thing that we are very excited about in the near future is that we will have a live stream where we invite everybody to contribute to the game. So if you think you can invent cool abilities or unit names or even game features, if you think you can contribute with that kind of stuff, I urge you to follow us and join in on that live stream, because it's going to feature massive airdrop rewards to anybody that suggests something that we decide to keep. So, and after that, we also have an initiative to sort of keep involving our community in the development phase. And I even have a vision that we're going to live stream the development and the testing phase so that players and the chat can get involved and see the game at early stages and even play the game like we will develop like an offline prototype with a board up on the screen. And so you can say like, put my Arachnomancer on B6. And then I put it there, and then I play my own round, and then we see the battle come through, and then we see who wins, essentially. Yeah, so a lot of these exciting features.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds very, we want to get the community involved. We want it to be a community-driven thing as well. So I love that. Birds, Bees, and Trees was saying, did I miss any beta footage? Where can some people see some of the gameplay that you've already put out?
Okay, so what we have out this far is a gameplay reveal video on our YouTube channel. You can find that from our webpage or going to our Discord. There are plenty of links in there too. The full gameplay reveal that we have there depicts essentially exactly how the game is going to work. And so it's a series of still images essentially displaying an early version of the game and what it will look like. And I encourage you to take a look there. I imagine small disclaimer is that the graphics will probably evolve, and we will have many more exciting features such as skins and cosmetics to enter the game. So please don't see it as the final version, but it should give you a pretty good feeling for what the game is like.
Yeah, and in my mind, at least you have something out there. We've talked this through a whole lot before, but it's so frustrating looking at some games that I can't even tell what the game is and what kind of genre of game it is because they're just talking about the token and NFTs. So even though that it's alpha footage and it's more just the still pictures for now, at least you're showing me what the game is, right? And I'm playing it on stream now for those who are watching live. So I appreciate that that's how you guys have gone about it.
Awesome. Yeah, many NFT games under development seem to be crypto companies first and gaming companies second, I feel. So I think that's the wrong focus. So some few games have dared to reveal any gameplay about their game, especially in this early stage, right? And you see all kinds of massive and cool graphics being proudly revealed because they're proud of that part, I guess. But they're not revealing their gameplay, and the only conclusion that I can come to from that is that they're not as proud of that,
Yeah. I mean, gameplay is key, right? If the gameplay is not fun, then we've talked about the economy side probably won't last forever, even if it does pump up for a while. And you need something that people will play regardless of where the token and NFT prices are at currently. Exactly. And Tilly Tots is asking about the NFTs. Will there be skins ever for these bugs, you think?
Yes, plenty of them. There will be rare skins. There will be legendary skins. There will be unique skins. And there will be expiring skins. I'm gonna leave it there.
There you go. Okay, more to come from there. Keith is asking. We'll try to sneak in a couple more questions here at the end. Assume this is web-based or cross-platform, Unity.
This is going to be a browser-based game, actually. So you can play this on any device that has a browser.
So mobile, desktop. What's the engine you guys are using for the game?
So we're developing the game in Phaser. That's a 2D framework for JavaScript and browsers.
Awesome. Love it. Well, Simon, I got one more question from you, chat. We're going to close off the questions. I want to be respectful of your time here. But I want to give this test out to all the projects that we bring on the show. So hopefully you're ready for this. But I want to ask you, you've talked a lot about ZiberBugs so far today, which is awesome. It's great to know this project. But I want to know from you, what other projects in the space do you admire and respect the most? Give me at least one project that you've seen outside of ZiberBugs. You're like, that's an awesome game, or they're doing it right and we want to implement some things from them. Who are you respecting the most so far?
I'm uncertain if we'll implement things from them because games are so drastically different. But my favorite games thus far, being a competitive gamer, is of course the competitive games. So I'm currently I currently play Spider Tanks, which is a competitive game that I enjoy. And I'm looking forward to Illuvium that has been clear about that they're going to have a competitive side of things that's not like pay to win or anything like that I'm also looking very much forward to. I'm looking forward to Monkey League, which is a competitive like soccer game that I'm actually invested in. And just see what that, it seems to be an entirely new concept as well. It's like a turn-based soccer game, as far as I know. So
interesting.
Yeah, these are some of the games that I'm looking forward to.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I asked that question specifically because I want to know, are these people making these projects, are they actually a gamer? Are they really excited just to play games? Are they excited for the space in general? Or are they here, I think people and projects that are here for a quick buck, they don't care what's going on in this space, right? They don't care about other games. They just want to sell some NFTs. They want to sell some crypto. So I really appreciate the fact that you're not like, oh, it's all about ZiberBugs. You know, of course you're passionate about it, but I love that you just are a gamer at heart too. And that just really builds, at least for me, more confidence in this project, because I want to know there's actual gamers behind some of these things and not just people looking for a quick sell of their NFTs, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, Simon, anything you want to know for our viewers and listeners? Any last thing you want to shout out here today?
Yeah, maybe I could mention that we're currently running a Gleam campaign where you can complete some easy tasks and like follow us on Twitter and join our Discord, tasks like that. And we are giving away 99 of our ancestor bugs, the most rare of all our NFTs, in this Gleam campaign. So it'll be highly worth it for anybody to join in. So I encourage you to join that. You'll find information in the Discord.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Simon, for taking the time out of your day. I'm sure you're very busy. You have this huge project. Congrats as well. I forgot to say at the beginning on your new kid as well, that you and your wife just had a baby, which is awesome. So big gaming project, and also the project of raising a kid. It sounds like you got a lot going on. I don't know how you managed to pull it off, but
it's exciting.
It's awesome. Well, thanks again. Pleasure having you here. Thank you for the time. And everyone on the stream, thanks for tuning in, or if you're listening on the podcast afterwards, much appreciation. If you want to find out more about ZiberBugs rather, we will leave everything here in the description, and you can check out the links there. For now, we will tune out. So see you, Simon, and see you, viewers.
Thanks for having me.